Level 1. The Nobody. You are 23 years old and you are absolutely certain that you are going to change television. You are nobody. You walk down the street and nobody looks at you. You have a film degree, a student loan you try not to think about, and a burning belief that reality TV is beneath you. You tell yourself that. Loudly. You tell your friends you're just doing it to get your foot in the door. You tell yourself it's temporary. You're going to do documentaries, real storytelling, something that matters. But for now, you need $600 a week. So you take the production assistant job. Your first day on set, someone hands you a clipboard, a walkie-talkie, and a look that says they've seen 100 of you come and go. Your job title is production assistant. What that actually means is that you carry things. You move things. You stand in the sun for 4 hours holding a reflector while a contestant on a dating show cries over a man she has known for 11 days. You fetch lunch for 12 people. One of them sends it back. You go back and get a new one. You don't say anything. You are on set by 6 a.m. You don't leave until 9 p.m. On paper, you are paid for 8 hours. In practice, nobody is counting. There is no union protecting you. There is no overtime. If you miss a day because you're sick, they dock your pay. If the shoot runs long, you stay. That's the job. You watch the producers talking to contestants in low voices around corners. You notice the way they lean in, the way they ask the same question 3 different ways until they get the answer they want. You notice how the camera operator moves closer when someone looks like they might cry. You file that away. You don't know yet what it means about the industry you've just joined. Your apartment is a 45-minute drive from the studio. You split rent with 2 other people doing the exact same job on other shows. You all get home at 10 p.m. and talk about the things you saw that day. You all laugh. You all tell yourselves the same thing. This is temporary. You're going somewhere. You have a vision. A vision is not a plan. A vision is not a paycheck. A vision is just the thing you tell yourself at 2 a.m. when nobody watched the video. Most people posting right now will never leave this level. You know that. You show up anyway. That is either delusion or discipline. At this level, you cannot tell the difference. You are not sure it matters. You go to sleep. Your alarm goes off at 5:15 a.m. You do it again. Level 2. The Logger. 6 months in. They keep you. That means something. They move you to the edit suite. Your new job title is Logger. What that means is this. Someone hands you a hard drive containing 200 hours of raw footage from a shoot week. Your job is to watch all of it. Every frame. Every hallway conversation. Every bathroom meltdown the camera caught through a cracked door. Every staged moment that was shot 14 times until the lighting was right. You watch it alone, in a dark room, with headphones on. From 9 a.m. until you can't keep your eyes open. You log timestamps. You note which contestant cried at 3:47 p.m. on Tuesday. You note which one said the thing they weren't supposed to say. You note which take looked real versus which take looked like what it actually was. A producer off camera telling someone what emotion to perform next. You start to understand something that will take years to fully absorb. The show is not filmed and then edited. The show is written. It's written in the logging room by people like you, deciding which 44 minutes of a human being's life will be shown to millions and which 156 hours will be thrown away. That is a staggering amount of power for a job that pays $2,000 a week with no benefits. You develop a specific kind of vision. You can tell within 3 seconds of watching footage whether a moment is usable, whether the lighting is right, whether the emotion reads, whether the conversation can be cut together with something that happened 2 days earlier to imply a cause and effect that never actually occurred. You didn't know you were learning that skill, but you are. And once you learn it, you cannot unlearn it. A brand reaches out. They want a post. They offer $50 and a free tea. You learn quickly that most of the offers are exploitative and some of them are scams. You take the deal anyway. You need the $50. You tell yourself it's just for now. You already know it isn't. You watch your favorite reality shows differently now. You pause on the cutaways. You notice when someone's mouth moves but the audio doesn't match. You see the edit. You see the architecture underneath. It's like learning a magic trick and then never being able to watch the trick the same way again. The algorithm is a black box and you are pounding on the outside of it. Your friends think your job is glamorous. They ask if you've met any of the cast members. You tell them you pass them in the parking lot sometimes. That's about as close as it gets. Every morning, the numbers break your heart a little. Level 3, the story producer. 2 years in, they give you a new title, story producer. This is the job that nobody outside the industry fully understands, and that the industry itself refuses to define clearly. You are not a writer. The show is unscripted. Officially, but your actual job, the one they explain to you in your first week, is to build the story. Find the arc, shape the characters. Take 300 hours of footage of real human beings, living their real lives, and turn it into a narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end. You are, in the most honest possible description of your job, a fiction writer pretending you are not writing fiction. You are the CEO of a company with one employee. That employee is also the product. You develop what the industry calls paper cuts. You sit with all the transcripts from the footage logs and you build a story on paper before the editor ever touches a frame. You decide who is the hero this season and who is the villain. You decide what their motivation is. You decide the moment of conflict and the moment of resolution. You do this using real people who did not agree to be characters in your story. They agreed to be on a television show. That is not the same thing. You are in the office first every morning and out last every night. On the weeks when a deadline is coming, you work Saturday and Sunday. Your salary does not change. You are not asked to work weekends. The deadlines simply make it necessary, and everyone understands that, and nobody ever says it out loud. You must post. Whether you are sick or heartbroken or empty or running on 3 hours of sleep in a dark edit bay that smells like recycled air and cold coffee. The deadline does not negotiate. The network does not negotiate. You deliver or you are replaced by the next person who will. You start to develop a skill that will follow you for the rest of your career. You learn how to Frankenbite. That is the industry word for it. It means taking a sentence a person said at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday and combining it with a word they said in a completely different conversation 3 days later to create a statement they never actually made. You edit audio the way a surgeon edits tissue. You take real words and build sentences that never existed. You tell yourself everyone does it. You tell yourself it's just a job. You tell yourself the people on screen knew what they were signing up for. Some nights that feels true, some nights it doesn't. You go home either way. You consume your own footage more than any person should. You start to not recognize the show you're making. You start to see each human being on that screen as a character, as a thumbnail, as a subject being optimized. You lose the line between the person and the story you built around them. You put down the drive. The room is still dark. The cursor is still blinking. Tomorrow you will do it again. You will watch 100 hours of footage alone. The approval from the network will tell you whether any of it was worth it. You will believe the approval. That is the job now. Level 4. The field producer. 3 years in. They send you on location. It costs you more than the money. It costs you the illusion of equal footing. You learn that first. Everything else is a consequence. Field producers are the ones who do the real work of making reality television, not the logistics work, not the edit work, the psychological work. You are on set with the cast every day. You are in their ear before the cameras roll and in their face after the cameras cut. Your job, broken down to its most direct description, is this. You are a professional manipulator of human beings. You become their best friend. You learn their fears, their insecurities, the name of the ex they can't stop thinking about, the parent who never told them they were good enough. You gather this information in master interviews, long, friendly, apparently casual conversations that are filmed and logged and analyzed for every piece of usable emotional content inside them. You are warm during these conversations. You are sympathetic. You ask the right questions in the right order and you listen like you care. Because in a way you do. But in a more important way, you are collecting material. Then you use it. A contestant is not giving you the reaction the show needs. They're too composed, too measured. The audience needs tears. You know what their worst fear is. You know which wound is still open. So you find a quiet moment before the next scene and you say exactly the right thing in exactly the right tone of voice. Not cruelty, never cruelty, just a question. A carefully chosen, perfectly timed question that opens the exact door you need opened. And then the cameras roll. And the tears come, and the network is satisfied. You drive home that night and you think about it. You don't think about it for very long. And now you do it again every time. Not because you want to, because the alternative is watching a human being feel safe in front of you. You cannot give them back the things you extract from them. You can only make sure they do not feel it happening in the moment. You are good at this job. That is a complicated thing to be good at. Level 5, the segment producer. 4 years in. You are running your own blocks now. A segment producer owns a specific piece of the episode. A challenge, a date sequence, a confrontation scene. You design it from concept to execution. You write the production brief, you scout the location, you brief the cast on what is happening, carefully omitting the parts of what is happening that they would object to. You manage the crew on the day. You troubleshoot when the shoot falls apart, which it always does because this is reality television and nothing goes according to plan. You have a staff that answers to you. A junior producer, a logger, a PA. 2 years ago, you were those people. Now you watch them do what you did. You notice which ones are learning the manipulation faster than you did. You notice which ones still flinch. The flinching ones won't last, you think. Then you stop thinking about it. Your personal life has become a logistical challenge. You are on location for 6 weeks, home for 2. On location again. Your relationships suffer the mathematics of absence. You miss dinners, you miss birthdays. You miss the kind of slow, ordinary Tuesday evenings that turn out, years later, to have been the most important times of your life. You don't know that yet. The money is better now, $3,000 a week when you're working, but you're not always working. Reality TV is a gig economy with a full-time job's demands. Between shows, the money stops, the bills don't. You've learned to save hard during production and spend carefully during the gaps. You hire security for the first time, not because something dramatic happened, just because your production company insists. After a contestant tracks down a field producer offset, there is a man now who drives you to certain shoots. You don't know his family. You know he is there to take a bullet for you. You are paying him $80,000 a year to do it. You have never once asked him if he is okay with that arrangement. You assume the money means yes. You are not certain that it does. You learn something about yourself during this level that you will carry for a long time. You learn that you can tell the difference between a genuine human moment and a manufactured one. And you learn that in the edit bay, it doesn't matter. They both look the same on screen. That knowledge changes you. Slowly. In ways you don't notice until you're already changed. Level 6. The supervising producer. 6 years in. You supervise an entire department now. Your title is supervising producer. You manage 3 field producers, 6 story producers. A logging team. You are the translator between what actually happened during filming and what the network was promised in the pitch. Your job is to make those 2 things match. They rarely do. That is your problem to solve. The network gives you an outline. This is the story of this season. These are the beats we need to hit. These are the characters we are building. You look at the footage and you figure out how to make real human beings conform to a story that was written before they ever arrived on set. Some of it comes naturally. Some of it requires work. Work, in this context, means going back for additional filming, requesting new interviews, restructuring the edit, manufacturing confrontations that the narrative needs but that never organically occurred. You are paid well now. $3,500 a week, maybe more on a big show. You can afford the apartment you actually want. You can take vacations. You have savings. The version of you who was fetching lunch in the sun would not believe your bank account. But something else has happened. Something slower and quieter than the pay raises. You have not created something purely for yourself in 3 years. Everything goes through approval. The network, the executive producer, the standards and practices team. You pitch an idea that feels genuinely original, and it comes back with notes that sand every edge off it until it looks like everything else. You file the smooth version and move on. You do this 12 times. You stop pitching the original ideas. You stop having them. The last thing you made that felt purely yours was a spec package you shot on your phone in your 2nd year. You watched it recently by accident, looking for something else on an old hard drive. You didn't recognize the person who made it. Not because the work was better or worse, because that person still believed the footage and the story were the same thing. You can no longer make yourself believe that. Your audience, the network, the executives, has been trained to want the produced version of the material. The raw version no longer performs. You have optimized yourself out of your own instincts. You have spent 6 years learning to see every human interaction as a potential scene. You go to your cousin's wedding and you find yourself noting the tension between the bride's parents and automatically calculating whether it's usable. You are at dinner with someone you're trying to love and you catch yourself thinking about what emotional content you could extract from this moment if you had a camera. You stop the thought, then you have it again. The edit bay is in your head now, it never leaves. The only human being you can fully trust is someone you pay. Let that register for a moment. Level 7. The showrunner. 10 years in. Your publicist costs more than most people make in a year. She controls what information reaches the public. She decides which projects get press and which ones disappear quietly. She has relationships with editors at every major outlet. She can kill a story. She can plant a story. She does both on a regular basis. And you choose not to ask for details. She is the system you live inside now. Everything else is a consequence of that system. You are responsible for every frame that airs. The creative direction, the casting decisions, the narrative arc, the edit choices, the music, the pacing, the graphic package, the way the host phrases a question. All of it flows through you. When it works, the network congratulates you. When it doesn't, the network questions your decisions. In a meeting where you smile and nod and then go back to your office and fix it anyway. You manage a crew of 40 people. You manage relationships with a network that changes its mind about what it wants on a weekly basis. You manage the psychological well-being of cast members well enough that they can keep performing, and not so much that they would feel supported enough to push back on what you're asking them to do. The money is real now. $300,000 a season on a mid-tier show. More on a hit. There is a version of you running in the world that you did not build and cannot stop. It gives interviews using words you said once, years ago, in a different context. Trade publications quote it. The network uses it in pitch decks. Junior producers you've never met cite it as their inspiration. You have stopped trying to correct it. The public version of you is easier to maintain than the real one. It has a cleaner arc. It makes more sense as a character. You understand, for the first time, what it feels like to be frank and bited. You built this skill. You are now inside it. You think about the contestant from season 3, the one who broke down on camera in a way that was too real to use. The one your field producer came to you about, worried, and you said, keep it. You said it was television gold. You said she signed the release. You used it. The episode got the highest ratings of the season. She doesn't do press anymore. You heard through people that she had a hard year after the show. You do not know what to do with that information, so you have put it in a part of your mind that you do not visit. You are good at not visiting certain parts of your mind. The job requires it. Your show wins an Emmy. Not the big Emmy, the unscripted Emmy. They hold that ceremony in the afternoon before the main show, but still, your name is on it. You carry the trophy out to your car yourself. You drive home. Your house is quiet. You put the trophy on the shelf and you stand there looking at it for a long time. Then your phone rings. The network, they want to talk about next season. Level 8. The executive producer. 15 years in. You are the last word on everything and the first name on nothing anyone cares about. That is the invisible bargain of the executive producer. Your child was asked in a school assignment to describe what their parent does. They wrote one word: famous. Not what you make, not what you create, just famous. The teacher gave it full marks. You read it 3 times. You didn't know what you were looking for in it. You still don't. You framed it. It's on your desk between 2 awards you cannot remember receiving. You oversee multiple shows simultaneously. 3 in production, 2 in development, 1 in post. You have a production company with your name on it. You have an office with an assistant outside the door. You have a deal with a network that guarantees a certain number of projects per year. You are, by every external measure, successful. What you also have is a specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't respond to sleep. It builds across years of operating in an industry built on manufactured emotion. You have spent 15 years creating drama professionally, designing conflict, engineering heartbreak, building villains out of people who weren't. You have become so expert at this that it has replaced the original architecture of your personality. You sit in pitch meetings and you listen to development executives describe concepts as authentic and raw and genuinely unscripted, and you smile, because you wrote some of those words in some of those pitches yourself. You know what authentic means in this building. It means authentic enough that the audience believes it. That is all it has ever meant. New people come through your office asking how you built your career. Young, bright, burning with the same certainty you had at 23. You tell them to work hard. You tell them to learn the craft. You tell them the industry is competitive and the hours are brutal and they need to be resilient. You tell them all the true things. You do not tell them all the things that are also true. They leave your office energized. You watch them go. Level 9, the network executive. 20 years in. You are not making shows anymore. You are buying them. You sit across the table from showrunners and executive producers who are very much like the person you used to be. You listen to their pitches. You say yes or no. Those words shape what millions of people will watch in their living rooms next fall. Your name was used as an adjective in an industry article last year. The writer didn't explain it, didn't need to. A show was described as having a certain quality, and your name was the shorthand for what that quality was. You are no longer a noun. You are a descriptor. You read the sentence 3 times. You didn't know if it was the greatest thing that had ever happened to you or the saddest. You read it a 4th time. You still don't know. You know what works. You have spent 20 years learning, methodically and expensively, exactly what makes people watch. You know that conflict drives ratings. You know that vulnerability outperforms achievement. You know that audiences need a villain and they need a hero and they need the villain to lose. And the hero's victory needs to feel earned even when you made sure it was going to happen before the cameras ever rolled. You greenlight a show about love. You greenlight a competition show about survival. You greenlight a docuseries following the lives of people in a difficult situation that the camera will make more difficult by being there. Every show you greenlight will be watched by people who believe they are watching reality. You know something those viewers do not. At 3 a.m., you lie awake in a house that costs more than most people will earn in a lifetime. You worry about your legacy being flattened into a single story. You worry about the version of you that will outlive you. You worry that the real you, the one underneath 20 years of producing instincts and network relationships and frankenbited self-presentation, was never visible to anyone at all. Then you have the worst thought, the one that waits until everything else is quiet. You worry that the answer is yes. You worry more that the answer is no, that the private self was always going to become this, that the industry did not corrupt you but revealed you, that the person who was willing to spend 20 years professionally deciding which human emotions are usable and which are just noise was always this person, that the cameras didn't change you. They just showed you what was already there. You don't name that thought. You go back to work. Level 10, the ghost. 25 years. You retire, or the industry retires you. At this level, there is not always a clear difference. The shows you made are still running. Younger showrunners are making them now. The way you made shows built by the people before you. The contestants who passed through those formats are somewhere out in the world, living with the versions of themselves that you built in the editing bay. Some of them are doing well. Some are still trying to outrun the villain edit that followed them out of the show and into their lives. You think about them sometimes, less than you used to. You watch reality television in the evenings. You watch it the way a retired surgeon might watch a medical drama. With a half smile, noting every shortcut, every manufactured moment, every Frankenbite in the confessional. You see the architecture instantly. The story was decided before filming began. The villain was chosen in casting. The hero's emotional breakthrough in episode 7 was coaxed out of them by a field producer who spent 3 weeks learning which specific wound to press. You know all of it, every layer. From the PA standing in the sun to the executive signing the green light. The most dangerous thing this industry produces is not the drama. It's not the villain edits or the contestants who leave changed in ways nobody warned them about. The most dangerous thing this industry produces is the people who make it. The ones who spend 25 years professionally deciding what is real and what isn't. Which emotions count and which ones are just material. Which human beings are useful and which ones have run out of story. Those people leave with a skill that has no use outside these walls. They can read any room. They can build any narrative. They can turn any human being into a character. What they can no longer easily do is be one. Somewhere in Los Angeles, a 23-year-old with a film degree and a burning belief is walking into a production office for the first time. They have no idea what they are about to learn to do. They have no idea what it will cost them to learn it. The cycle continues.